Okay, so now we're going to talk about Mendeley. So what is Mendeley? Mendeley is actually a tool that combines a few different functions. So its main focus, the main focus of Mendeley is actually to use it to manage your PDFs, and you can collect your PDFs in here, organize them, annotate them, which is terrific. Mendeley also has a citation management function within it so that you can actually use it to pull citations out of some databases. It doesn't do this nearly as well as some of our other citation software tools, but you can do that. And as with the other tools that we've talked about that we support here, you can also use Mendeley when you're in the writing process to actually create your citations and bibliographies within Word. And so to get to Mendeley, what you can do is I'm just right here on the page that the libraries have created to talk about Mendeley. But if you just go to Mendeley, www.mendeley.com, you can actually, what you're going to do is download three things there. You're going to download the Mendeley software, which loads onto your desktop. You're going to also download a Word plugin, which is what enables you to do the writing and the citing. And you're also going to download a web importer, which is what you can use when you're in some of our citation databases in order to collect your citations. So once you've downloaded Mendeley to your machine, this is what the client looks like. So I'm just pulling it up here, and this is kind of what I have. So these are my documents, and some of these are just citations, and that's kind of what you're working from here. And I'll just point out very quickly over here that you can do some neat things, like you can create groups of PDFs and share those with another group of Mendeley users, which can be very helpful. So, as an MIT user, you have access to an enhanced version of Mendeley called Mendeley Institutional Edition. And this differs from the free version of Mendeley, which has a limited amount of storage and group capability. So with the MIT institutional subscription, you'll actually get access to 5 gigabytes of personal space versus 2 gigabytes that you'd get with the free version of Mendeley. You'll also get 20 gigs of shared space and the ability to create an unlimited number of shared groups with up to 25 members. So you want to make sure that you join the MIT group in order to access this subscription, and details on this are available on our Mendeley guide. Okay, so let me talk about how you can actually get PDFs, your PDFs into your Mendeley library. So the easiest way to get a PDF into your Mendeley library is actually, if you already have a PDF downloaded on your desktop, you can actually just drag the PDF into your Mendeley library, and in many cases Mendeley will just actually retrieve the metadata and create the citation that you'll need later for it. So I've got one on my desktop now, and you can see I just pull it up in here and just sort of where all the rest of the documents are, and release, and boom, there's my article that I just dragged in. So you can see it's located right here, and the PDF is there, and here's all of the metadata, right? So it did a great job of finding all that, page numbers and everything that you would need to cite. So one thing I always want to say is that it's very good idea to look at this and just make sure that the data parsed out correctly. A lot of times if there's a problem, Mendeley will actually alert you to that fact, and it will actually, you can ask it if it didn't get all the data to actually do a search, to go out and search for a citation. And for the most part, I think that's using Google Scholar, which is, a little hit or miss, but it's just another way that you might be able to get more metadata if it's not finding it automatically. But it's a good idea to just do a little quality control while you're doing this. The other way that you can bring PDFs into your Mendeley library is kind of almost in the same way that you would attach a document to an email. You can just, if you have a single PDF or a folder of PDFs somewhere on your computer, you can just go up here and see this box here. This is sort of a import additional documents to the collection. So that's another way that you can do it that's very simple. Just click that and follow the prompts. Another really neat feature that Mendeley has is something called a watched folder feature. So if you habitually put your PDFs in certain folders on your computer, you can just have Mendeley watch those folders, and anytime a PDF is added to those folders, it'll automatically go into your Mendeley library. And to set that up, what you're going to do is when you've got Mendeley open, just go to there's a File menu, and from there, you should be able to just select Watch Folder and then select the folders that you actually put your PDFs into. And that works really great. I think that's a very convenient way to add your PDFs. So that's basically the ways that you would go about getting your PDFs into Mendeley. And I just wanted to show you a couple things that are pretty neat if you're working with PDFs within the software. And so basically I have this PDF that I just downloaded, right? And so Mendeley makes it pretty easy where you can actually do things like annotate, highlight and take notes within PDFs, which can be very helpful. So let me just go ahead and open the PDF that I had there. So here's my PDF, and you can see within Mendeley they've got these just tools for doing different things with your PDF. So let's say, oh, I want to highlight something. I can click the highlight thing and highlight text that I want to do. Maybe I want to put a note in, so I can click this note box and put it wherever it is in the document that I want to go to, and see it just adds like a little sticky note, and I can say, this is a good point, or whatever it is that you want to save for your paper. Okay, so in addition to adding PDFs in the ways that we've done with Mendeley, you can also use Mendeley to grab citations from different databases that you might be searching, like Web of Science or Google Scholar. And to do this, again, I mentioned that one of the things that you're going to download when you get Mendeley is their web importer, and that again, that's on this. Once you download it, you can see how to get the web importer. And once you've got it, it shows up right here on your toolbar. So that's my Save to Mendeley web importer. And so this is basically what you'd use if you're in a citation index and you want to just grab the citations and bring them into your Mendeley library. And one thing I want to say here is that it works well with some databases, but there's a lot of databases in which it doesn't work, which is kind of a frustration. But let me just show you an example of how it does work when it works well. So I've just done this search in Web of Science, and I've got a number of citations here. And basically, let's say I'm just going to pull one up, and when I've got the citation up, or even from a group of citations, I could do it as well. You can actually just if you want to save this, I'll just go up here and click the Save to Mendeley thing on my toolbar. And you see the web importer opens. You can see it did a good job in this case of pulling the metadata, and I can just click Save, and that's going to show up. There's the data, and that's going to show up in my Mendeley desktop. And so this is actually a good thing to talk about here, is that we've got Mendeley desktop downloaded on our machine, but all of our citations are syncing between our desktop and the space that we have in the cloud, in Mendeley's cloud space. And so in these cases, what this is doing is actually first pulling it into my account on the cloud, and then it's going to bring it down into my Mendeley desktop. So you've kind of got two things working at the same time here. If I wanted to see this now in my Mendeley desktop, I would just click that view button and you'd see that it pulls it in. So that importer works. It's great when it actually works, but there's just many databases that you find where it just can't, it doesn't detect metadata, and then it just saves you like a screenshot, and the metadata's not there, and it's not really that helpful. One great workaround with this is to, because Mendeley's strength really is in the PDF management, is to you can actually link up Mendeley with Zotero, which is a much better tool for grabbing citations from databases. So to do that, what you're going to do is go to your Mendeley preferences, and you can set it up to sync with have Zotero work with Mendeley. And so I'm just going to click on my preferences, and so you can see on this screen here, I can just click on my preferences box under Zotero, and here's where I can tell it integrate Zotero, and so that anytime anything is imported to Zotero, it's going to go into my Mendeley library. So that's where you go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that we've talked about all the different ways that we can build our Mendeley libraries, let's talk about how we can actually use Mendeley in our libraries when we're actually sitting down to do some writing. And so, as I was saying, when you download Mendeley, you're going to download, in addition to the web importer I just talked about, you're going to be downloading a Word plugin, and that's the thing that will enable you to create citations and bibliographies in your Word document. So I've got Word open here, and let's just pretend we're getting ready to write. And just to point out, there's so much on these Word screens now, but this is the Mendeley toolbar. That's the Word plugin, the toolbar that it inserts. If you're actually on a Windows machine, on a PC, you're going to find the Mendeley Word plugin, all the tools. It's going to be under the References tab in Word, and then you'll see there's a little box with things, and it's labeled Mendeley Citomatic. So that's where you'd find it in that case. So basically, let's just pretend we're doing some writing. So I'm typing a paper, and I need to cite an article, and so I'm like, I need to find that article in my database of libraries, so I can just click on this insert or edit citation box, and it pulls up a little search box right there, and so you can just do a search for things in your library. And so I'm just going to do a search for urban planning, and let's say you run a search and it pulls up all the things that satisfy your search. And so let's say I want to actually cite this article, so I have it highlighted, and then I can just go ahead and click OK, and it's started to create my citation. So you can see that right there. I can keep going. Let's just do one more sentence, and I can just do the same thing again. I can run my search, and again just search for another article. So let's say planning. I'm just going to go with this wind energy or building for self-sufficiency, let's say, and I can do that. It's going to go ahead and cite that, and then when I'm done, you just kind of keep rolling along that way, and then when I'm done, I want to insert my bibliography. And so to do that, you just move your cursor to the end of your document, and I click on Insert Bibliography, and there it goes. And so you can see that if you look up at the toolbar, the Mendeley toolbar here, that it tells you what citation format and bibliographic format we're using, which I think is probably APA. You can change this at any time, so I can click on this down arrow, and you can see there's sort of a list of frequently used styles, and then if I click on more styles, I'd get even more. But so let's go ahead, just for the hell of it, to change it to another one, and it just changes it on the fly. And so that's basically, in a nutshell, how it works when you're using Word and Mendeley. So that's a brief overview of all of the functionality of Mendeley. There's obviously more detail that you can get into, and one of the ways that you can find out more about Mendeley is, as I said at the beginning of this, we have a guide that gives you a lot of information on using Mendeley, and that's the guide here, and you can see here's our URL. You can also, there's email a group of us that support this software if you have questions that come up, and that address is right here in the lower left. So you can do personal-content@mit.edu, so you can always email us with your specific questions and we can get back to you. And again, this is just one of many different tools that we support, and you can see related guides here to the other tools that we support and offer, and comparison guides. So definitely take a look at those when you get a chance. We also offer classes periodically on these tools throughout the year, and you'll usually be able to find those on the library's website as well.